Let's talk just a little bit about certificates. We're not going to get real deep into the topic because we don't need to for the MTA. When I go to a website, let's go to Google again. How do I know that this is really Google that I'm at? I know it says Google, but how do I really know that this is a Google server? Well, the answer to that is that a certificate tells me that that is. Well, just because they have a certificate, how do I know that? If you come into a doctor's office and you ask the doctor, how do I know that you're really a doctor? And he hands you a certificate or shows you a certificate on the wall and says, well, look, I have a certificate. How do you really know that he didn't just, go down to the corner store and make a certificate? Well, you have to have some checks and balances in place. The signature on that certificate must match the signature of an actual person in the medical school that certificate came from, and it has to have an embossed stamp of some sort that actually verifies that it's from that person. Well, we have systems in place electronically to prove that. So I'm going to click this lock again, and I'm going to go down to the certificate here, and you can see that this certificate says GTS CA 101. Well, what in the world does that mean? Well, I can click the details and I get more information. The signature itself, or I should say the certificate itself, is encrypted through this something called SHA. That's not really an encryption, it's a hash, but I can see that there's all sorts of information that goes through some digital signatures. That's just like the signature that the dean or whoever at the medical school signs the doctor's certificate, and the certificate path goes through some root CA or certificate authority that has signed it and can prove that they have signed it, that has proven that Google is who they say they are and that this certificate has actually come from Google. Now, there's a long process that we go through to prove all of this, and I'm not going to go into all the details of how that works, but I will say that there's an infrastructure that we call it the PKI, or the public key infrastructure, that proves that certificates are who they say they are. And your computer has built into it a set of who we accept are the certificate authorities that we trust. And if it's outside of that set of certificate authorities, you would get a warning that says, no, we don't trust the certificate authority because it's not in this set of certificate authorities that our computer says we trust. So that's how we know that we can trust that Google is signed by a certificate authority that we trust and that Google trusts as well. And so we trust that Google is who they say they are.